You are very media savvy, Pastor, and communication is very important in the world. The word is very important. I think it was in 1984, George Orwell's 1984, there was this double speak. You say love, but you really mean hate. How is it possible that you appreciate somebody as a martyr? What is a martyr in Christian world? I'm not going to teach you about it, but my idea is, in the Jewish world, the Christian world, somebody who is placed before a dilemma. Either you denounce your religion publicly, you betray your principles, or else we'll put you to death. And instead of renouncing his principles, he is willing to offer himself. So he decides on his own self. According to our tradition, to commit suicide is a sin because your body doesn't belong to you. It's God's. But he is letting himself, somebody else should cut his head off because he doesn't want to blaspheme the name of God. But here we have martyr, something else. Martyr, he's going to blow himself up. And while he blows himself up, he kills men, women, children indiscriminately. Is that a martyr or is that a murderer? We are using the same word for something altogether different. We're not speaking the same language. We need some kind of moral Esperanto in the world, so that when we say something, we know exactly what we mean. I think it's tremendous what's going on in the media today.
We live in a point in history of which the prophets of Israel said the prophet is a liar and the fool has become a prophet. Truth is now deception, doublespeak. The people in America have become accustomed to public officials lying about the condition of the country, and they are just overwhelmed by the state of chaos that fills the earth right now. Russia is dominating the Ukraine. China is becoming a superpower. Iran is developing a bomb, and they're saying to the terrorists of the world, we're going to share that bomb. Our borders are open. Tens of thousands of people are coming across that border, and many of those people are terrorists. And I mean, that border is wide open. We as a nation have a crisis of leadership. We as Americans are in a dimension we have never been before. Our friends don't trust us, and our enemies don't fear us. And into that vacuum has come every tin-horn dictator on the planet to create chaos on the earth.
You know, Pastor, I once read, and it somehow remained with me, it's a superficial opinion. What is the first and primary objective of a politician? The answer that said is to be elected. If you're not elected, you can't do anything. Once you're elected, maybe you can do things. So many of their actions has to do with elections. Once they're elected, you have to stay in power. There's another election coming up, so you have to make sure that you are re-elected again so you can stay. I feel there's a vacuum in this world of the moral word that does not depend on being elected. We are elected by God to bring His word to this world. Are our religious leaders failing? Are they assuming the position that they have, the voice that they have, the moral voice that they have? Because many people listen. They say, don't tell your children don't use drugs. You know, do as I say. Sermons don't help. And others say, it is not so. Every child looks for approval to his father and mother. When his father tells him don't use drugs and he uses it, in the back of his mind, he's got like Pinocchio speaking to him, you shouldn't be using drugs. So if we keep silent and we don't say anything about what's going on in the world, aren't we failing a little morally?
Well, we're beyond failing. We are committing a sin. In the Bible, in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, that marvelous chapter, that dreadful chapter, God establishes this principle, that if you will obey me, keep my covenants, and keep my commandments, I will bless you. But if you disobey me, all of these judgments will come on you. So there is this simple principle in this chapter. Blessings bring obedience. Disobedience brings judgment. Fast forward to America. We as a nation are trying desperately to kick God out of our society, out of our marriages, justifying a man, marrying a man under political correctness. This is a clear violation of the law of God. We have come to a point in time where our leaders look into a television camera and knowingly lie to the American people. We have come to a point in time where we are doing everything the Bible says not to do that brings about the blessing of God. We are violating and walking away from the God of heaven, and we are embracing a socialist mentality where we're making the state God, and we are falling into an abyss. And we're falling so rapidly, the American people are aware of the danger but don't know how to stop it.
You know, Pastor, politicians, not statesmen, politicians read polls. They look at what the polls are saying. What do the people, what do they want really? That's what I'll do. But religious leaders read the Bible. As they say, a minister read the newspaper every day to see how the world is, and read the Bible to see how the world should be. Well, we are reading the Bible. We have to speak a little more forcefully, and we shouldn't minimize the importance of the word, whether it's spoken or written. When one says something, when you say something, and millions of people are watching you on your television station, you never know what penetration you really have. You may think that my word isn't reaching so far. Maybe people aren't listening to me. But that is a false assumption, I think, because you never know what kind of effect you are. Maybe we should be speaking more. We should be speaking clearer. We are not, this lack of clarity. We are letting the podium be taken up by those who are interested in polls and not interested in morals, in truth, in absolute values, not modifying the values according to the present need of society. I think we should do a little more, no?
I often say that we have mastered the art of almost saying something, and to stand boldly on both sides of every issue so that we are not accountable and not responsibility and not responsible for what is really happening. The President of the United States, as Charles Krauthammer said yesterday, speaks as if he's an outsider to all of the things that are going on in the world. He is the president. He has power, yet he speaks as if it's beyond his control to do anything. These are times that try men's soul, but the fact is that we have gotten away from telling the truth. We've gotten away from wanting to hear the truth. If a politician got on the air and told the truth about what we are as a nation financially, what the $17.4 trillion debt means to us, what China and Russia are trying to do with us by purchasing up the major economies of this country, there's no way that people would send them back to Washington because it's a dreadful negative story. We have gotten to the point in time that we had rather hear a fable than to hear the raw reality, and that's where we are as Americans. But it only means that the naked truth is the only thing that's going to liberate this nation. And hopefully it's not too late for men of God to get in their pulpits, in their synagogues, and speak the truth. Truth has the thunder of a trumpet, and when it goes out and gives a certain sound, the people rally to it.
Pastor, there are fax machines. You put in a document, it comes out on the other side. You can look at broadcast a fax. You can send it simultaneously to 100, to 1,000 people. There are 3D faxes. You can reproduce. I think, Pastor, we have to put you into a fax. We have to reproduce you throughout the world in thousands of copies of the mind, of the opinions of John Hagee. And I think we would have a much better world. Pastor, I want to thank you very much. It was
Thank
a
you.
privilege to know you, and it was a privilege to be last night at Cornerstone Church. It was a privilege to be in your home, to eat together with you, and to count you as a friend, and I hope in the future our friendship will only deepen. Thank you very much.
Also.
Thank
God
you very
bless you, sir.
Thank you.